Yo, what is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the absolute best show in all of pro wrestling and sports entertainment. You know what time it is. It is the Royal Rundown. I am one half of your host and duo, SERG. VICENTE. Joining me is my sister from another mister, Miss Drede. Miss Drede, what it do?
Hello, me and my forehead say what up.
Well, hello to both of you. I hope you got it's there.
Very exposed today.
Hey, the hair is whipped up. Fantastic. Did your thing. I appreciate you for being here today. Oh, here, God, just wanted to make sure we was live. So everyone who is joining us live right now, not only on YouTube, not only on Twitch, joining us live as well on Instagram stories. So IG stories. Thank you all for joining us. Do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to this show and everything else that we are doing at the Fight Podcast. We talk about pro wrestling, we talk about boxing, we talk about MMA, and not only do we have that, join our Substack. We actually have articles as well that myself, Ms. Drede, will eventually start writing there for us as well, especially if she's going to have that nice expose of that Vince McMahon doc on Netflix. So we're going to talk about that and a lot more. So thank you guys all for joining us. Again, like, share, and subscribe. And also, you see the shirt. We have hats. We have more. Cop some merch today. Get the merch at I was gonna say WWE. I wish I was working with them. Etsy.com/shop/the-fight-pod-shop. We have shirts, we have hats, we have mugs, we have it all. Check us out today. Dre, there's been a lot going on in the world of wrestling. Yes, very busy weekend. And I know that there is more PLEs coming up and more pay-per-views coming up, but let's kick it off because I know you're going to be at some AEW events. Are you going to be at the because it was tomorrow? Our boy Mustafa Ali. Yeah, and
what's his name, sir?
Yeah, Mufasa.
Mufasa Ali.
Ali.
No, Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, Mustafa.
And Zilla and Zilla Vatu are going to be at. I believe it. I do not want to mispronounce it because I'm again still a newbie in the indie wrestling life of watching it. I think it's Hog Wrestling, HOG. Yes. I won't be at that show. That's on my father's birthday, so I won't be there at that show. I'll be kicking it with Pops and celebrating his big day.
Happy birthday, Pops.
You know, the Virgoist of all Virgos, my dad. No, he's the greatest. And but I will be at All Out
nice.
At Wintrust or whatever, wherever it is on Saturday. I'll be there. So me and my sister and my brother-in-law will be there having a good old time.
Nice. And
then I'll report back with all of my lovely findings and thoughts and things, of course.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. That's going to be good. We can't wait to hear everything with that next week. But let's jump into the most recent PLE that we have to break down. This past weekend in Berlin, Germany, we had Bash in Berlin. The show itself, again, we're going to rate it. We're going to break it down each event. We're going to go down the list of it. But Dre,
what up?
Scale of, let's say 1 to 10, or let's say A, B, C, D, E. FG, whatever you want to call it. Let's rate it. Letter grade. What do you give Bash in Berlin?
I mean, this is always tough because, for a non-Big Four, for a B PLE per se, it was a good show. I'm gonna give it a strong. I don't know. I didn't dislike anything, so I'll give it a nice, strong, solid B plus.
Solid B plus.
Solid B plus.
You know what? I'm not mad at that. Me personally, I'd give it a B. I'm gonna give it a B. I'm gonna give it a B. And the reason I'm gonna say I'm gonna give it a B is because
they're just the harshest one out of the two of us.
Look, I am the most realistic one out of the two of us.
Harsh one.
I don't sit here and sugarcoat things if I don't need to. Because you know what? One of us needs to be optimistic. One of us needs to be real in this.
Balance.
And it balanced, okay? The yin and the yang of the Fight Podcast. We're rundown. So, but I'll say this. I'm going to give it a solid B. During the show, I honestly wanted to give it like a C, realistically, when I was watching the show. Because there is no, and correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't feel like there's any surprises anymore. But that can also be because, and again, this is what I'm starting to think about it. That can be something that it's less of no surprises, but it's also good payoffs and good storytelling. which we're actually getting. So the story actually makes sense. What's happening makes sense. So I'm not mad at the predictability of it if the stories are making sense. So when I see it, that was my first thing. Also, and we can talk about the rundown of the show, and maybe it could have built a little better, but I understand why they had everybody. So let's kick it off from the beginning. Kicked it off. Cody Rhodes goes out there and retains versus Kevin Owens. This was a storyline that I don't feel like they did. There wasn't a lot of heat leading up to it in the moment, right? I think everybody was kind of like I think at least in my opinion, I didn't feel like they were doing too much with it. There were the will he, won't he turn. Kevin Owens is great as the most analytical wrestler in the history of wrestling. He's the only one that actually watches the show.
Love that about him.
I love that about him. And
you
so
broke the rules. Say your name. Why are you out here?
Exactly. He's incredible when we're seeing those things, and he does that. So one thing that we knew, even if I was just like, there's no way in hell he's going to beat Cody, one thing we knew that it was going to be a fun match. And that's something that, because they're both incredible technicians, and you could argue they're two of the best of this generation, easily. Not even
easily.
argue. They're two of the best of this generation. What were your thoughts on this match?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was really hard hitting. But that's a Kevin Owens match. You know what I mean? Like KO is
and
never.
It's kind of been a calling card of Cody's matches also.
I'm so glad you said that. Yeah. I'm so glad you said that.
Cody, like
Cody will lay it in on you real quick.
I'm gonna get in my Cody back after you go ahead. I'll tell you how I feel about that.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I think when you see a KO match, you kind of, the one thing about Kevin, I know I've started 3 sentences at the same time, but just stay with me. The one thing about Kevin Owens I really, really appreciate is once you right when you think you know what a Kevin Owens match is going to be,
right?
He gives you a performance like the one he gave you on this weekend, or he gives you something else, or he pulls out something you're like, I completely forgot he does that, or I forgot he can do that. Right. And then he's just also got the stone coldness of it all, where then I say the stone cold of it, I hate this term everyman, but that's the best way I can just kind of describe it, and I mean that in a very blue collar, if you punch his buttons 1-2 minute times, he is going to cold cock you in your face. And he's very believable in that role.
Hello.
What's up? So, that's I really love that about Kevin Owens. I really appreciate that about him. And then I really appreciate that he is both very funny in every comedic thing he does, but he can flip that very serious switch on you real quick. And it's like, oh yeah, this dude is a monster. So
absolutely.
With that, I think that the Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens match, I thought it was really fun. I actually thought it was the good choice to open the show personally. Mm-hmm. Because you want the crowd geeked, so get the number one baby face in the company, and arguably in the business. Get the crowd screaming, get the woes out, get the adrenaline and the souls, and and it's and you know it's gonna be a good match. It's gonna be good to great. Sure. It's not gonna be subpar. Kick off the show, and of course, unfortunately, everybody in the back gotta be like, hey, follow that, guys, and that's the only downside to it, but that's actually the good stuff to me. So I personally enjoyed it. I actually really do appreciate the storytelling beats between those two. And although we all kind of was looking with our third eyes for Kevin Owens' turn on Cody, I love that we didn't get it.
But I love that we got the teases that we got with it, though.
I love that
because the teases, and even him, the battle with it, and him not listening to the voices in his head. Stopping himself from taking out his knee, which is something that he talked about in the Go Home show prior to that. So watching him go through that, watching him, one thing that I think the two of them do extremely well is that they do a lot of storytelling within the match itself.
My favorite thing.
It's so good, and they're two of the best at it. And one thing, again, I have to give Cody props, because some of us might not love and I've heard a lot of chatter about this online, his title reign currently. Is it as fun? Is it this? Is it that? One thing I'm going to say about it is this. All of his matches and his PLEs are amazing. He goes out there and performs. And one thing that he does, and I think he's proven, he's a tough guy. He's somebody that's going to go out there in the same vein as a Kevin Owens. More so, I mean, even in the lane of a Ilya Dragunov or a Gunther even. We can actually even say he's physical like those type of guys. And he's even more dynamic in what he does because, one, he's more athletic. Two, one thing that he's doing also is he's doing high-level difficulty moves that are dangerous. And he goes out there and busts them out. He spreads them out. And he spreads them out. He's everything that you want for a champion. So is he my favorite type of champion? No. But I mean, you guys know me. I wear all black for a reason. I like heels. All right. So
this man is a heel. But I will say this. I have to say this to you because it's the same thing I said to you before, which I love to always when I can get Serge to kind of like come around a little bit.
My type of heel.
He makes me happy, right? But I think we talked about this for the What Killed WCW special that was on a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago, where Kevin Nash said the money is in the chase.
Yes, yeah,
the money is in the chase. 1,000%. And so what happens when we watch wrestling and we pay attention to the discourse online and everything, we always, anytime you get a face as a world champion, you got a couple of things happen. Number one, everyone gets all excited because the face finally got their belt. And then it takes this many seconds for them to be, well, this title ring's wearing. Now, it could be for two reasons. It could be one, because it's being booked poorly.
Yes.
Which happened to Big E, for example. The Big E is the first one I think of. You know what I mean? Which happened to him.
Kofi Kingston.
Or at Kofi's the other. Those are the.
What do they have in common?
Those are the two I think of. But he's not the only one, right? Like there was a couple of face. There's several. John Cena's the one I think of a lot.
John Cena's had like 6 title reigns that were ass.
Roman Reigns is another one.
Roman Reigns is another one. Exactly.
Right. All of that was really not because of poor performances. Most of that was because of poor booking.
Yes.
Now,
which
the
is
thing
huge.
Right.
Which is huge.
The thing with Cody is I think that now, again, it's still to me fairly early in his title reign. I know Mania was a couple months ago, but to me, it's still fairly early. He's still getting popped. He's not getting booed. Right. And he's not. And people are still don't. I was here for him getting booed in AEW.
True.
And literally in the building, confused, like, is this really happening right now? And why? Confused.
Because fans are fickle. I'm gonna go off on a rant on that in a minute.
Shout out to D. Brian. BD Brian fickle. But I think he just the thing that Cody I think really does well is I think this reign to me is trying to kind of take that away, that stereotype away, or prove that stereotype wrong. Like, okay, you can still be a face and be hard hitting, like you said, and bust out these moves, and then also just be smart. Because one of the reasons why heels get boring as champs is because they all of a sudden become very stupid. And so the fact that Cody could even kind of check Kevin and be like, hey, look, you've turned on every friend you've had here. And I'm your friend, but
you gonna turn on me?
But I got all my eyes on you. And like that, and just that even being mentioned, a new regime, new creative, I think that's part of it. Yes. But it's nice. And so hope that gives me optimism, in terms of when heels when faces win championships, because now you can actually root for them and not feel silly.
Absolutely. No, I hear what you're saying. And again, it's in terms of this last thing we'll say on it before moving on, because we do have to get the rest of this card to get to. Fans are incredibly fickle, and you're seeing, especially now, across all combat sports and across all things, right? Especially across combat sports. I was watching, and I just have an article out that's currently on my Substack. Check out the Substack page today.
Gosh, check it out.
I appreciate that, but check it out. But even in that one, there is this incredible boxer, Inoue, who is this pound for pound number 1 guy consistently, and he goes out there and knocks the dude out with a body shot in the 7th round. Literally hit this dude in the stomach, made like dislocated dude back, something crazy, right? It was one of those, and he was dominant, didn't get touched, and the fans complained. oh, it wasn't dominant enough. And it's like we're seeing the same thing across all combat sports. It's like we're like, what do we want? We want people to go out there and beat somebody like in 2 seconds, but if that happens, they're not having enough competition. It's just constant complaining nowadays. And it drives, as a fan of the sports, it just completely drives me crazy. But that's all I want to say about that one. What are you about to, I'm sorry, you're about to say one thing.
No, my only last thing to that is the only reason people say stuff like that is because social media gives everybody a platform to say things.
And not everybody deserves a voice. I'm sorry.
They don't. Well, it's like, and you have to just kind of you have to be for everyone to be an armchair critic.
Quarterback. Yep, how they say. Yep.
Technically that's what we are, right? But at least we are fair.
And we respect the game, and we respect the athletes. There's a whole different thing. And again, if you appreciate these games, if you appreciate what these people are doing, what they're putting their bodies through, you're looking at, and when you see greatness, you give greatness, the due that it's deserved. Speaking of greatness, let's talk about our next match that was on the docket. And look, the Powerpuff Girls got their belts back. And for those who do not know who the Powerpuff Girls
that what
are,
we're calling them?
Yes, the Powerpuff Girls are got their belts back. You know what I'm saying? Bang, bang, bang. we have Bianca Belair, the generational talent that she is, and we have
Jade Cargill.
Let me get it out. You got Jade Cargill. I appreciate you. You got Jade Cargill, who is the what they used to call China the ninth wonder of the world back in the day. Well, we got the 10th wonder of the world now in Jade Cargill.
Man,
look, this match did exactly what it needed to do. It was quick. It was fast. The people that should have had the belt in the first place got the belt back. Each of them had their moments that showed their athleticism, their charisma, what they did well. The former champions, they had their moments, which was fun. I think this match was no more than 8 minutes long. I was happy with it. Any questions about any comments on this one?
Black women, period.
That's it. Bang, bang, bang. They did their thing. Let's go. Powerpuff Girls.
The women's titles are exactly where they're supposed to be. They're back where they're supposed to be. I love that on Raw Monday we are actually giving segments, and they're making them seem relevant. It's probably the most relevant that they've seemed since, I don't know, a certain other group of beautiful Black women had those titles. That would be Naomi and Sasha Banks, known as Mercedes Moné. It's probably the last time that it's been that lit. You know what I mean? The tag titles have been that important or seem that important. Absolutely. So I'm geeked for them. It's awesome.
Oh, I am too. This is where it's supposed to be. And when you have two champions like them anchoring a title down, you're actually bringing relevancy to the title. And then now what they've done, they're shifting. You have so many. I mean, there is an embarrassment of riches when it comes to what female talent in the WWE right now, and a lot of them are paired up in tag teams. You can have one of the most epic divisions in all of professional wrestling, and the thing about it is you can have that while still having this dominant force at the top, where everybody else is having these incredible matches, everybody else is making a name for themselves, and then you like Io Sky, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the other
Io Sky and oh gosh, and Jesus, why? See, I just had it in my brain.
Yeah,
you did it. You did this.
I apologize, but them. The two fantastic Japanese competitors. Yes,
the Sky Pirates. That's not them, but
they call them Sky Pirates. Them.
No, that was Asuka and the girl's name we can't think of right now. I'm so mad. That is. No,
I am so mad. And her eye was definitely bleeding this
good
week.
God bless her.
Crazy.
Jesus.
She's one of my favorite wrestlers. The swag that her and Ego, the aura that her and Io come out there, it is fantastic.
Kairi Sane is her name. Thank
you. Kairi Sane, yes. They go out there,
and I love her.
She's incredible. But again, you're having these teams that are just fantastic. And
also, shout out to Asuka on the way back. Hopefully,
there we go.
Charlotte's coming back. You said it. Embarrassment of riches in the women's division, and everybody ain't even back yet. You know, everybody. We still got people still in the cut. And
Look,
we don't even talk
man,
about NXT right now.
these
We got
ladies
folks cooking still. It's
are
amazing.
very graceful, very demure. They're
Ah,
killing the game. Okay,
very mindful,
very
mindfully talented
mindful.
and wonderful.
They're
Yes,
mindful. They're demure. It's just fantastic what they're doing.
hilarious.
I can't lie. That was one of those like a week or so ago. I'm Miss Drake. Do we want this? Yeah, let's
Let me
see
tell you
it.
something. I ain't messing with Rhea. Nuh-uh. She got it. It's all her. She got it. She got it. I'll
All
be
right.
her manager, but I ain't finna fight her.
She could use a manager. I mean, it's kind of Priest, to be fair. He's kind of her manager.
It's
All
kind of
right.
working.
Speaking of them, Terror Twins take down Dom and Liv. This honestly was the feel-good match of the weekend. This was actually the only one that I got wrong because I thought that storyline-wise it made more sense to give it to Dom and Liv, but you had to give the crowd something, and this was it. Now, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know how no one doesn't see it. Dom and Liv are the bad guys here, people. They have totally taken advantage and done terrible things to everybody in the Judgment Day. And everybody's looking at the Judgment Day for retaliating to these two tyrants. And they're looking at it. She literally put Dom in the same. Everyone should look at him and be like, that's how he was a face. And then she put him in the little headlock triangle thing, and he turned.
That's how he fell in love.
Beat him
That's how
up.
he fell in love.
That's how he fell in love. And then on the other hand, you have Finn, the great Fergal that is. Hold up, as I froze. The great Fergal that is. I'm gonna do this until but I'm still talking. You can hear me.
We can.
But even with Finn, dude, they messed up his title shot a number of times. So to be able to see that, oh, that's what it is. Somebody's trying to call me. Like, how dare you call me when I'm recording?
How dare they?
Hold up. All right. There it is. See, in the moment that they left, it figured out. I was like, who the hell is calling me on the, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is got me freezing up and everything? All right. But yes, they did terrible things.
Yes.
Damian done messed up Finn's title reign, all kinds of stuff. But we're supposed to sit here and believe and cheer for them. I am not that guy. I'm sorry. I don't cheer for the Terror Twins. I want them to lose every match because I think they're terrible people. Granted, I cheer for Damian Priest. I do cheer.
I was like, aren't you the heel spokesperson?
But here's the thing: everybody else is treating them like faces. Since they're being treated like faces, they're not heels anymore.
They turned in your head. It's over with.
It's a wrap. It's over with. And I'll be honest with you. Let's be fair. All jokes aside, Dom has become the best heel in pro wrestling.
He's at least the most popular one, I would say, for sure.
He's doing heely things, which is fantastic. I have not been a huge fan of Liv Morgan's character work in the past. I think she's doing phenomenal with this. I'd be happy if they got rid of JD McDonough and Carlito, as much as I do think that they're talented, and just have Fergal, Dom, and Liv doing their thing together. But all in all, this was an extremely fun match. We got all the notes that we wanted. We saw a riptide. We saw, Dom get beat up and pushed around by Rhea. Everything that we wanted to do.
We saw all the domestic violence.
All the domestic violence, right? But against that poor man. But
man,
I will say this. I'm over it now. Are you over it? Because it's like, that was fun, but I think it's time to move on.
I was going to say I was until Monday.
Okay.
I would have been like, okay, cool. We can move on from this.
Yes.
Like, I enjoyed it. It played the greatest hits of the Judgment Day versus the Terror Twins. It did all of that. Right. I would have been perfectly fine with us being done. Monday, I can't. I'm sorry. Word to Rikishi, don't hate me. But after Monday, I'm kind of like, all right, where are we doing? Like, where are we going? What's going? And because it's dovetailing nicely into other stuff, right? So like, although like, and I agree, we could be more creative with Jey Uso, for example, but I do enjoy the fact that he has this like slight crush on Rhea. It's not weird. That's the other thing. I'm so glad they haven't made it weird. Yeah. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Hate it.
Hear me out, Serge. Just hear me out.
We know black woman. Why are we doing this?
True, but just hear me out. Think about all of the other kind of romance angles WWE has ever done, and how over the top they've been, how borderline and over the line, just gross they've been.
Yes.
And then you take this one, which is just really like, okay, he's got like what feels like a harmless or looks like a harmless crush on Rhea, but he's also able to get his lick back with Dom and the Judgment Day stuff too. And then you kind of you're pairing you're trying to turn the Terror Twins super face, right? Their face in the story.
How better to do that than linking them up with the biggest face
with the biggest. The only face bigger than him is Cody, and that's in terms of crowd reaction.
1A, 1B. I think. I mean, seriously.
Right. So I feel like.
And just to say, Jey has consistently been the merch leader in the company.
So what I'm going to say is, I feel like if this all leads to Jey getting that beating Bronson Reed, not Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker.
By the way,
yeah,
I kind of feel that happening. And
did you watch Raw on Monday?
I did.
That was the first time I actually was like, oh, they might actually do this.
I am with you. I am with you. That was the first moment that
it was a hope before. Now it's like, oh wait, we might actually.
Oh, especially him talking greasy to Jey. That's what it was. And I'm like, oh, they fit it. And then it makes total sense, because if Jey is the Intercontinental title a champion, having Roman come back in the mix with them and them have that.
And now you've gained my respect, because now you've got
a belt. You've done this by yourself. You you the man. You are main event Jey Uso.
And hear me out. This could also dovetail between Braun Breaker and Damon Priest can go off and fight, because there's going to be shenanigans in that match. Let's just be clear, right? And they can go off and fight.
Might be the one, yeah. Because again,
so Damian and Braun could beef. Damian and Braun can beef to be the number one contender for the new champ Jey for that. Hear me. I'm just saying. I feel like it's.
And I'll be honest with you.
It's doing things.
How many times? Like, Jey went after each one of them titles, and he's been the only person that should have won all of them. It's storyline wise, even during the matches, right? Even Gunther was like, damn.
Oh, like during the match.
Yeah. During the match, Gunther was like, yo, he had me. In the one with Roman, he had him beat until Jimmy came, right? It was like he's always had shenanigans being the reason in which he's lost.
Jimmy will be the reason he win that joint, but you heard it here first.
There it is. He took it out. There you go. So I love that. Okay. You turned me on the Terror Twins. I'm not mad at that. Let's see what happens.
I think it's just a mechanism.
I need to see Rhea actually wrestling the women's division more. I think we have it. I know she hasn't been totally healthy, but if she is this dominant force and we want to continue, I want to be able to see it, and I want to see her going against not the same three people. Agreed. I want to see her against Bianca. I want to see her against Jade.
I wish you were there when I wish you were there when they were in NXT together, because they had battles.
I've gone back and watched, and again,
and when they were the last two in the Rumble that year,
right? So we need to see more of that. I don't think they do that enough with her. They're trying to make her too much of a China type. Like, she's in there with the guys, she's doing her thing, which is great. I'm not mad at it, but let's be very honest with you. Bianca and Jade are just as physically, if not, they're more physically imposing than she is. They are. They're bigger than she is. So to sit there and look at it, like,
someone else would argue with you. Other people would argue with you.
If you see them standing next to him, like, it doesn't make any sense why you'd be doing this with, like, again, I understand the storyline, why I understand y'all like her, but I need to see her against these. And again, y'all are not putting her against these other. She's a great competitor, but they're not putting her there to keep this aura about her. Because when you put her in there,
her and Charlotte are going to see when she comes back. When she comes back, which
But
is
again,
literally any moment now.
That's the same person that I've seen her there with. There is a rundown of people. I want to see her in there with the queen. That's why I want to see her. You know,
Oh,
and
with Naya, heck
I
yeah.
want to see her with Naya. I want like those
Yeah.
type of things. There are other women there that are just, if not more, physically imposing. I just named 3 that are more physically imposing and wrestle just as well. So I need to see a change with her character and her storyline. Get her away from the Judgment Day stuff. I want to see her doing other things. All right.
I think we're gonna have to deal with the Judgment Day stuff for a hot second longer.
I think until Mania.
About a month. About a month. Give it a month.
Okay.
And then I think, and they'll still be together Judgment Day-ish, but I think they'll move on to other stuff.
I need it to happen because like it truly, it's made me be. I went from a fan of Rhea and what she's doing to being like, this is boring, boo. That's how I feel about it.
I'm just like,
hey, maybe I am. All right, let's move on. CM Punk is back and he got his first win on the WWE main roster in 10 years. He beats I said Few McIntyre. He defeated Drew McIntyre in this. And you know what? It was a fun match. It was a fun match, and I think it was a very fun match for a few reasons. One, they had everything: storyline, humor, hard hitting action.
A stipulation you don't see a lot.
Stipulation that you don't see a lot. Really great match. A lot of fun. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, everything you just said, especially the stipulation you don't see a lot part. We've seen Punk do strap matches in AEW. Ricky Starks, MJF, I believe, are the 2.
Yes,
and they and I before that I don't really love strap matches. Before those 2, I was like, ooh, these might be okay. This one I think I was like, this one was really well done. Obviously, I think WWE also does a little bit. They do a little bit of they did a bit of showing you as well as telling you with the lights and stuff like that. But I think that added something to it. I think that was a perfect place to do that match. Berlin was really into that. Mm-hmm. So I think that helped that the crowd wasn't like sitting on their hands dead bored by it, that they were like, no, they were really, really into the whole part. That's part of it. I think when you have a stipulation like that, that kind of has rules that aren't real, that aren't as basic as a steel cage match or something like that. Folks can get real, attention spans get very, they go away. And I think both Drew and Punk did a great job with that. I love that a lot of people thought that they were done. And I'm sitting there watching Monday Night Raw with Happy Punk. I'm like, yo, anytime you see Happy,
you knew it was going,
I'm gonna call it Soccer Dad Punk, bro. He's about to get beat up. Something bad is about to happen.
I mean, this was always going to be a trilogy. You can tell this was going to be a trilogy. Always. And especially with the amount of venom that they've had with one another. This was going to be a trilogy. Drew, hater of the year, Drew McIntyre. In fact, again, another one. I was not a fan of Drew. This feud with Punk has made me say he's fun. He's fun, and he can do it.
Serge really could not stand that man.
Could not stand this cat. It's just I don't like when you look like that, you can't be a babyface. I'm sorry. You have to at least have some kind of edge to you. Not Adam Copeland, but we have to have some sort of edge. You have to, right? And when you're just out here just big and just like happy-go-lucky and stuff, wearing your kilt, I just wasn't buying it. I wasn't buying what he was selling. I wasn't. This one, having him kind of go nuts and stuff. And again, I grew up in the Attitude Era, people. I love tweeners. You give me a tweener, you give me an anti-hero, I'm here for it. That's why I think Punk is so believable and fun, because Punk is an anti-hero. He'd go out there and kiss babies and put up signs.
That jerk is never far away. That jerk is...
And you could tell by the haircuts.
It's never far away.
Exactly.
Chicago. Y'all ain't the Chicago men. The asshole is always a second and a half away. Love y'all. You know I love you. Look,
me too. Damn.
Serge, my brother, I love you. You know it's never far away.
You have never seen me.
That's not not mean I don't know it's there. It does not
Yeah,
mean I don't know his name.
you might have seen me. Yeah, we went to college together.
And did.
Yeah, we did. All right. Many moons ago, college days swiftly passed.
Ooh, don't they?
Oh man. What my god brother who just started his first year at Howard this year, and
All right.
he's loving life out there at Howard. Salute to him. And then my other god brother is starting his second year at DePaul. He's out there in the city. So salute to both of them boys.
Love it.
All right. Anything else about this match? It was fun. It did what it had to do.
Did what it had to do, and we're looking forward for part 3. Let's go.
There we go. All right. Let me see. Did I miss anything else? Nope. Main event time, right? Yep. Main event time. Gunther beat Randy Orton. This one I would say is this, and I'll kick it off with this. It was a more methodical match than I think a lot of main events that I think people are accustomed to. It was methodical. They really worked the crowd. They interacted with one another. They appreciated the moment. It's something that I really enjoyed watching it. Yeah. So they were both there, and it was cool to be able to see. The match itself was, I mean, we're talking about two guys with 5 moves apiece, right? And they really them fools got 6 moves combined. And they worked the heck out of it, but again,
10 moves to 60.
They really do. Where's the lie? But the thing about it is, though, they execute them so well, and the timing and everything. Look, that neck slap that Gunther gave Randy Orton, I sent that to all my frat brothers and was like, "What does this remind you of?"
Wowzers.
Yeah, not hazing, not pleasuring. But what I have to say about that, see, I don't even say the organization now because I ain't getting caught up.
He's gonna call you Uncle Phil.
Straight up. Hey, I'm there. He was in the, with him doing it.
I was crying. I was like, I know of several brothers who are probably dying at this right now.
Oh my God. Incredible. But I'll say this though. The match itself, because of that, was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. It was hard hitting. It delivered in the way that it was supposed to. And one thing that I do appreciate about Gunther is that he does not have one finishing move. He can finish you in multiple ways, and he is a throwback type of wrestler. He literally reminds you of somebody who would have been around in the 60s. You know, he got the tighty whities on with the high boots, and he gets active, right? He looks like he'll legitimately punch you in the mouth. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, so he looks like a villain in a movie. He's he's emo. He's whatever.
For a fact, Randy is one of those throwback guys who would punch you in the mouth. So it felt very throwback in the way that we watched this match. It was a fun one. Now, was it Gunther's best match or most entertaining match? No, I can list 6 matches that were more entertaining. Just off the top of my head, Sheamus. Jey Uso. Yeah. Ricochet. Yeah. All those 3 matches were far more entertaining in terms of, and it shows what Gunther could do, but also it shows he can do this too.
Yeah.
Salute to Gunther for retaining. He's deserving of that chip. What do you how you feel about that?
I am always a fan of Randall Keith Orton. That's my guy. RK. Yes. I just you're right. He's got about 6 good moves on him, and I don't care. I don't care. I just enjoy a Randall. I enjoy a Randy Orton match. I watched this match twice for one reason. The first time I watched it, I was afraid. I thought it was boring. I was like, oh no.
I had to also, because that's the first thing I thought. I was like, wow, this is mad boring.
But then I watched it twice. I watched it the second time. And then I was more focused. I don't know. Maybe I was just doing too much in the process. But the timing of that match was phenomenal. Like, the way you mentioned the picking and choosing of when to do what, their picking of choosing of when to do what was genuinely perfect. And it forced you to keep watching because you never know when the next thing is going to happen, because it's going to be, and it's going to be executed like that, because they're both such good professional wrestlers that their execution, their snap is so crispy that you're like, oh, Yeah, that it is believable too. The fact that Gunther doesn't have one finishing move or doesn't have a finishing move, you never know when the match is going to end. I love the end of this match. Yes. I love that Randy Orton didn't tap out, but that he was choked out or whatever.
And Randy looked strong in this match because, to be fair, Randy was winning the entire match. He was like, that's the first time. I think I might have added this to the group chat. I was like, this is the first time I've seen Gunther get beat up.
Yeah, it's not often. I've seen it a few times. I'm a nerd and watched NXT or NXT UK when it was a thing. But
Dragon off beat him up a little bit too.
Oh yeah, but again, it was kind of like this match where it was like, you know, a give and take. But I really just appreciate I just one time for Randy Orton, man. Like the man is everybody talks about John Cena, everybody talks about Shawn Michaels, and everybody talks about Batista a lot because he's, you know, they're not there often. Randy's really been consistently there that long.
Now he looks like he ate the old Randy Orton.
And he literally looks like he ate the old 293, I think they said he was. I was like, that's a lot of man.
Bigger than he's ever been.
That is a lot of person.
He dwarfed Gunther, who's a huge individual.
These are two not small people, you know. No. So it's just, I really enjoyed. If people talk about psychology in wrestling, I think this was a really good. If someone was going to teach that, I think this is probably a match they would have their students watch.
Great point. Yeah. The psychology of wrestling, this truly was that. And I have to give props to both of them. And again, I've been hard on Gunther. I have not been a fan of his character, his wrestling, because again, he's a guy, and I'm gonna talk about this guy in a little bit, but if he is extremely physical, and he's hard hitting and he's a brute, but his lack of athleticism to me isn't believable, because it's just like, if you're this unathletic, somebody's going to has the same physicality and as a technician should be able to beat you strictly based off athletic. We're athletes, right? We know how sports work. So it's like, if we're the same physically, but I'm actually way more explosive than you, the more explosive individual is going to win.
So to that point, to that point, or just to kind of other side of that point.
Yeah.
So you're, because I wouldn't necessarily call
it's Gunther, an aesthetic thing for myself as well. That's a personal thing.
I wouldn't necessarily call him not athletic, but I know what you mean when you say that, because when we think of athleticism, we think of certain things. You mentioned agility, speed, you know, along with brute strength.
Yes.
But if you think about Gunther wrestles like it's brute strength. And I think you just said it, which really kind of killed the whole point of me even saying this. It's an aesthetics thing to you.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, but it's almost like he's wrestling. I think of it like a bar fight. Mm-hmm. You see somebody like Gunther in a bar fight.
A tough SOB that can whoop your butt. It doesn't matter. And again, it makes
and
total
he's long
sense.
And he's tall. And yes, he is strong because he's of how long and tall he is.
Yeah.
But you look at someone like Randy, who's just as tall as him, who's now bigger than him,
and who's more athletic.
And who is a little bit more athletic. People also forget too. It is explosiveness. Gunther used to be a bigger person too. He used to be Bronson Reed, but taller.
If that was the case, I'd get it. And again,
but I wonder if that's how he changed. I wonder if that's why the style hasn't changed. You know what I'm saying? I wonder if the style would read differently on his old body. I'm curious. For sure. On his old frame, this style would make perfect sense. Yeah,
I wonder. He's a big dude. He can slap you around. He's Bowser, right? That's what it looks like.
That's great.
That's exactly who he is, right?
Yeah.
But now that he's slimmed down and stuff, it's just like, I'm not. And the way he's been booked, I get it. How he's been booked. It's just not my favorite. Just because again, that's just a preference thing, and again, I'm a fan of those other three individuals that I named who I think had better matches with them.
Yeah, I also love, but I will say this to Gunther, and I'll let this live. I really like his promos now.
His
I
promos have
love
gotten a lot
the
better.
growth. I love the growth in his character. I
Yes.
love that it's not just silent Gunther and letting other people speak for him.
Yeah.
I like that he's just kind of like
He's
this guy.
cocky. He's kind of
When
like
when Sami Zayn came
so
out on
what
Monday,
the
he
fuck?
literally said, "Oh, what the fuck,
Yeah,
this
what the
guy."
fuck, this guy. Like it was great to be able to see it.
I
And I
do
think
love that.
that's something that I am enjoying more about his character.
Yeah,
But I am
he'll
now a
grow on you.
proponent.
He'll
He
grow on
already
you,
has.
and he's
But
starting to. I was like, yeah, I
he's
feel that.
starting to. But I'll say I'm also not a proponent of all of these extended title reigns. It's not realistic. Give me a month title
Yeah,
reign here or there. Give me somebody can have because again, then it makes it far too predictable. Give me something that's not as predictable.
Here's what I'll say.
Now, don't you dare do that shit with Jey Uso. Jey Uso gets this chip. Oh, you know what? I take it back. It seems like they might do that with Bronson Reed. Not Bronson Reed.
Broad Breaker.
Braun
We keep
Breaker.
doing it. Broad Breaker.
Yeah,
I do
Braun
the same
Breaker.
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. I will wait till that plays out, and because everything else has been like a year long, and it doesn't have to be that. So
only two people who had really super long reigns are him and Roman. They're literally the only two that
Seth had
the
a long
long
reign.
reigns.
He had a year long reign.
When?
Wasn't his a year long?
I don't think it was a year long.
Well, because Seth got hurt. Otherwise, he'd still had a belt. If Seth didn't get hurt, you can't tell me he wouldn't. You know what? If Seth didn't get hurt, CM Punk might be the champion, to be fair.
Well, let's also remember he's not going to be hurt for long either.
Yeah, he'll be back. All right, let's move on real quick. And I want to just touch on this before we get out of here. NXT had their PLE Stand and Deliver was this weekend. The blackest show in all pro wrestling, which I do appreciate. Speaking of a Gunther type of character, and I just want to talk about this gentleman for a hot second. FEMI, the North American champion, is everything that Gunther is and everything that Gunther is not. He can do what Gunther does on top of being a super athlete. And that's why, in my opinion, not only is he believable, he is somebody that, in my personal opinion, my estimation, should be somebody that should be not only do what Keith Lee should have done, and not the Keith Lee who just shit on DC. I'm talking about, Bearcat Keith Lee, and I know
Mia Yim's husband.
yeah. But Keith Lee, and I think he should get both belts. I think he should have the North American title, and I think he should also end up getting the NXT championship. And because the dude, he's explosive, he's huge, and he gets better every time I see him. That pop-up power bomb that he does, and then he adjusts it. He would just power bomb you, but then he would do the sit-down power bomb also. The way he jumps in and out of the ring, because you're expecting to see somebody his size move like Gunther, and then he's not. He's jumping around, explosive, sliding in and out of the ring, chest slapping people from outside of the ring. Yo,
it kind of reminds me of Bobby Lashley.
Favorite.
He reminds me a little bit of Bobby Lashley in that regard, like both built as well as that.
He's like double the size of Bobby.
But that spark of athleticism that you're talking about, like that's I totally get what you're saying. Big fan of Oba. If they. I don't see them doing this anytime soon because I feel like it's hard to get those titles off one person when they have two. But yeah, if they decide to do that again, I'm down for that. I like Ethan Page, but that's just neither here nor there. I just think he's fun.
He retained his title. It was fun.
Yeah, he's fun.
Match.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that Oba Femi, if he's going to be in NXT for a while,
that should be the one who should beat him. That should be who should beat Ethan Page. Let him get that. And then, honestly, I think he should be one of those guys that, and I know I just complained about long title reigns, but he should have the belt as long as he wants.
Just knew you were going to say that.
As long as he wants. I think that, here's the thing. He should be a guy who should have it, and then next year, pop up at Raw or something and be like, no, I'm here now. I'm coming to wreak havoc. I gave them the belts back. I don't even want them joints no more. I want your belt.
You mean turn them to Kenny Omega? He just have all of them.
Again, we have a guy now that can sit there and aesthetically do that, And ring wise, it makes sense. He's a performer in the ring, and he's great on the mic.
Yeah, he's fun. I'm an Oba fan. I'm not ready to put every belt on him right now.
Was out here doing his
but
thing.
I love him. Yes, and you know I love him for all reasons. So yes, I'm a fan.
Yo,
Great.
Dre got to type, yo.
I don't know what you're talking about. I do not know what you're referring to. The other fun stuff about NXT,
Big
real
meaty
quick.
man slapping mammy. That's what it is. Yes.
I just like wrestling really a lot. Wrestling is so great. Julia's here. Julia's here. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
Julia's here. Stephanie Vacar is coming soon. Shout out to we haven't even mentioned her for real on the show. Miss Parker, Jada Parker, your girl, this one right here.
Hey, man, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sure you don't know you're talking about me. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I have the group chat. I'm in there. Y'all be forgetting I'm in there, but I'm in there.
She's a phenomenal wrestler, and she said that her dream match is against Jade Cargill, which would be a fantastic match. Yes.
I was gonna say that I think she had a star-making season with her build for this match into this match. I think that kind of was a nice star building field for her. I think she's in NXT. I am not one of those people that every time I like someone in NXT, I'm like, put them in the main roster. No, I think she's great.
Let her cook. Let her cook.
Yeah, let her cook. But she's cooking, right? Like let her cook, but she's simmering nice. She's simmering real nice and well, and let her rock. I'm interested to see what's gonna happen there. So yeah, it was a good show. NXT is always a fun show, man, and you know it's near and dear to my heart. So yeah, shout out to NXT for real.
NXT was great. I really enjoyed that. Yeah, there's been a lot of great pro wrestling. You know, Ricochet made his AEW debut, and we're teasing. Not only are we teasing a match with Will Ospreay, we're teasing another match for him and Pac. There's so much is happening with that. What's going to be great.
Oh, that would be so good.
Ricochet versus Pac is going to be insane.
That'll be great.
Yeah, there are so many possibilities there. And again, these are people that Ricochet came up with in the industry. These are people that he loves and respects. He said one thing that he said in a recent interview was, you know, these are the guys that I had the most fun in my career with, and I'm going to link back to them. So hearing him say that, it makes me really happy to see him. Like I'm as a fan of the WWE, I'm upset that he is not there. But this is going to give him an opportunity to do what he wasn't able to do, I think, and really show the Ricochet that he wants. He's already far more hard hitting. He's throwing shots at Triple H in this. I don't know if everybody peeped that, but he's throwing a little shade at Triple H, hitting with the DX chop in the middle of the thing. Like
now, is that shade or is that just respect? Like, because you know everybody does the chop. Like,
I think it could be a little bit of both.
All right, come on.
I think it could be a little bit of both. Like you guys let go of the big fish, you know. So but I think he's more hard hitting. He's a lot of fun, and I think we're going to be able to see the Ricochet that we saw in Lucha Underground, that we who you know that we saw in New Japan. This is who we're going to get. So I'm excited to be able to see that.
Agreed.
And what else? Again, we talked about Mustafa Ali today. You know, that's going to happen this weekend. We're getting, you know, another AEW PLE. A lot of great professional wrestling going on right now.
It is, and I'll be there. I'll be at All Out in Chicago this Saturday. I'll be taking copious notes so I can come back with all of my thoughts.
Nice, and I'll be watching it.
And if I'm real good, hopefully I have something for your Substack, Serge. We'll see what's going on.
I like it. I like that idea. And again, speaking of the Substack, guys, please read, like, share, and subscribe to the Substack. I've been putting out 3 articles a week for you guys. There's been some
set your notifications so you can catch them all.
Catch them all like Pokemon. Do your thing. Yes. Yeet. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm loving it all. Everyone else who's watching, thank you guys so much for watching. Dre, anything you want to say before we get up out of here?
That's all I got, bro. We here. We outside. And I'll see y'all next week, man.
See y'all next time. Thank you guys for watching again. Thank everyone who's watched live today. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you guys.
Shout out to Scarlett in the chat. What's up, Gary?
Shout out to Scarlett in the chat. We appreciate you. Don't forget to get some merch. Etsy.com/shop/thefightpod shop. Get yourself merch today. Follow us on all platforms. Before we get out of here, listen to the man. Let him know what he got to say.
This is Absolute Ricky Starks. I'm letting you know that you are listening to the Fight Podcast.
Peace. As soon as I hit the